Yeast is something most people rarely think about. It is small, quiet, and usually hidden inside dough or liquid. There's nothing visually striking about it at first glance. As a substance, it feels soft, powdery, and almost weightless. On the surface, yeast appears uniform and inactive. It looks dry, calm, and unchanged by time. Nothing about it suggests movement or complexity. It feels simple, almost empty. When a small amount of yeast is placed onto the microscope slide, that sense of simplicity begins to fade. The familiar idea of yeast as just an ingredient starts to dissolve. Even before magnification increases, the material already shows variation. Some areas appear denser and more concentrated. Others look lighter and more dispersed. The surface is not as uniform as it first seemed. What looks still is not truly inactive. What feels dry is not lifeless. Within this pale, ordinary substance exists a hidden structure. Yeast is not just something added to dough, it is a living system, a collection of microscopic organisms responding to their environment. This first look marks the transition from something ordinary to something alive. At 80 times magnification, yeast appears scattered across the slide as isolated pale shapes. Individual forms are visible, but details remain soft and indistinct. The cells look elongated or slightly oval, resting in a fine, grainy background. They are unevenly distributed, with noticeable confirmation that the material is not uniform. Some cells appear brighter and more defined, while others fade into the surrounding medium. At this level, yeast still feels quiet and restrained. Its living nature is suggested, but not yet fully revealed. This magnification offers a first confirmation that yeast is not dust or powder, but a collection of separate microscopic bodies occupying space. At 200 times magnification, the yeast begins to organize visually. Individual cells become easier to distinguish from the background. Their outlines grow sharper, and their shapes feel more intentional. Most cells appear rounded or slightly elongated with soft boundaries. Dark specks and faint internal shadows suggest internal structure. Some cells cluster loosely while others remain isolated. The slide now feels populated rather than empty. At this level, yeast clearly reads as a living material rather than a passive substance. It no longer appears still, like it appears present. At 800 times magnification, yeast transforms into a dense cellular landscape. The field of view fills with countless rounded cells pressed closely together. Each cell shows a clear boundary separating it from its neighbors. The background fades, replaced by repeating circular forms. Subtle variations appear in size, brightness, and internal texture. Some cells look full and smooth, others show darker centers or uneven interiors. The arrangement feels organic, crowded, and active. At this scale, yeast no longer resembles an ingredient at all. It looks like a living population sharing a confined space. At 2,000 times magnification, yeast becomes fully abstracted from everyday experience. Individual cells dominate the frame. Their walls are clearly defined, thick, and slightly irregular. Internal structures appear as layered patterns in darker regions within each cell. Some cells show signs of division with subtle indentations or paired forms. The space between cells is minimal, creating a tightly packed mosaic. Nothing here suggests flour, dough, or baking. This is no longer a substance, it is a system, a microscopic community shaped by growth, pressure, and time. A quiet process that drives change without ever being seen. This hidden world exists inside something people use every day, yet almost no one ever looks this closely. If exploring these unseen structures changes how familiar things feel, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. More everyday materials are waiting to be revealed under the microscope. The deeper we look, the more there is to discover.